Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll find a seat, we're going to kick this off. As we always do on Tuesday morning during the convention, we present the state of the PRCA, and this is no exception today. So I'm going to give you an overview of what's happened at the PRCA in 2016 rodeo season, and I think you'll like what you see. I see a lot of the board of directors here in the front. I see some of the event reps here, the staff with the PRCA. If there are questions after the end of the state of the PRCA, you're certainly welcome to address those questions to the appropriate people they'll be up here in the front for a few minutes afterwards. So if you have questions or concerns, we will be down here in the front and glad to entertain any questions or thoughts. As we always do, we go through the numbers first. And I'm not going to read every line, but I think these numbers particularly are important as you look at these numbers. The rodeo count, if you look back at 14 and then to 15 at 624, and then there was a decrease in 16, and that decrease was partly because of one series that we lost in Mesquite, which I believe was 10 rodeo series, and a couple other as we normally do. But if you subtract those numbers, actually we had an increase without the loss of those, the Mesquite rodeo in Mesquite, Texas. So the 618 is not alarming to us. We don't like negative numbers. We don't like to go backward. But in this case, at least there is an explanation that you can see. And there were two fairly substantial rodeos, we would say, that were not part of the PRCA in 2006 and 16. But we have faith that maybe they will, that we will in fact get a chance to operate and talk to them concerning their PRCA status. The total payout last year, $45 million. If you look at the numbers, it's a little down, but again, the explanation I think is I just gave to you. So again, not alarming, but we do not like to go. We do not like to have negative numbers, and but as always, we put them out there so that you can see them. Total contestants, and there's no secrets. We don't have any secrets at the PRCA. But I think you can tell by looking at the total contestant members that that there were some issues last year within the PRCA that we handled, and I believe that is the reasoning that you see that decline in those numbers. I'm confident that as of today, that a lot of those numbers should increase back to somewhere close to where they were before by the end of the year. And you can read into that any way you'd like to. Total entries for 2016, as you can see, again, have a decline. But if you take 80 contestants away from the PRCA, and they average about 60 rodeos apiece, you'll get to that number pretty quickly on 113,000. That's 4,800 entries, and if you add 4,800 back to 113,000, you'll be ahead of the year prior to that deal. So those are the numbers for the PRCA. I think this slide is very important because I'm not sure that we all continue to realize what this event in Las Vegas for the next 9 years. This will be the second year on a 10-year contract. And if you look at the go-rounds, every go-round, everybody that wins a go-round in 10 nights there has the opportunity to take $26,230 home in their pocket. The average, $67,000. If you place fifth in the average, you get almost $23,000 on that. That is by way of our partners here in Las Vegas at LVE and LVCVA. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate their partnership with us at the PRCA. And the numbers are are obviously substantial, and we're very, very proud of the fact that the board of directors and the board from LVE and LVCVA negotiated that contract 2 years ago, and that we'll be in Las Vegas, and hopefully you all will be here with us for the next 8 years after this year. So reference to the payoff, it's tremendous in comparison to what we had in the past. $1 million tour, you can see it's consistent from 15 to 16. It continues to be consistent. One of the pieces of certainly several meetings in the last couple of days would indicate that the tour, and I think I stood up here and said this to you last year, that we need to really revisit the tour. And as of a meeting that we had yesterday, there was an agreement to include some of the rodeos on the tour into a working committee with the contestants and the event reps to really take a real long look at the tour, what the future of the tour looks like, and we have committed to staying with that committee to try to evaluate and make the changes, if necessary, that are positive for those committees that are on the tour. The payoff for the tours, as you can see, I won't go into a whole lot of details, pretty flat for 16. Again, I think that we're aware that the tour does need to be redefined, and we will work diligently over the course of the next few months to try to accomplish that. The All-American Series has been in play for many, many years in Waco, Texas, at the finale. As you can see, number of rodeos last year that participated, 413. The total payout before Waco, $13 million, and the total Waco finals, $450,000. You can see the numbers of, you are required to go to 30 rodeos to make the All-American finals, and you can see by the breakdown there how many of which event went to 30 or more rodeos. 522 contestants total went to over 30 rodeos, so that has real value to the committees as they continue to strive for people that will appear at their rodeos. The Ram Circuit Finals, this is another great piece that's come out of the last 2 years, and that is the contract with Kissimmee, Florida, for the Ram National Circuit Finals. They have been great hosts and hostesses for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association in Kissimmee. Our hats off to them. That was I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it to you again if you don't mind. And that is, as everybody knows, Kissimmee was in the running when the finals were, when there was some question of a possibility of moving the finals. Kissimmee stepped up to the plate and really wanted the Wrangler National Finals there in Florida. Obviously, because we're sitting in this room, the Vegas piece came together, and Kissimmee, instead of being disappointed, although they were somewhat disappointed they didn't have the National Finals Rodeo, they came back to the PRCA and said, what can we do? Troy Weekly, the board member Troy Weekly, was instrumental because of he's a resident of Florida in helping promote the Kissimmee group. But they came back and said, what can we do to help? We really want a championship type event, and hence the Ram National Circuit Finals has a new home in Kissimmee, Florida. So we're very proud of that. As you can see, the dollars, the estimated combined payout for circuit finals, these are the circuit finals, this is in the Ram National Circuit Finals, total sponsor money in the circuit system, a little over $2 million. Last year, I stood up here and announced to you that we had a deal with Mexico, and that we were going to co-sanction some rodeos in Mexico. We did, in fact, sign an agreement with Mexico. I've been down there several times myself. Some of the staff has been there several times. They're excited about the possibilities of the future. We just re-executed an agreement for one more year, a year at a time, because it is, in my opinion, somewhat of a testing grounds for the international piece that I think is certainly possible for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association to expand. And so one more year with Mexico, I would say that this year was a good year for us with Mexico, but I think there's some improvement that we can both make to make it more effective. We gained about 155 permits out of the Mexico situation. So, excuse me, that's positive for the growth, membership growth of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. So that being said, we are now expanding to Brazil. And we have an agreement in place with Brazil that is similar, mirrors the Mexico deal. And we will have some co-sanctioned events in Brazil this year. So watch for that. We will follow it, and that will be obviously newsworthy. And the PSN and the web pages will, in fact, keep us informed, keep you all informed as to how the Brazil piece is going. I think, and I said this last year, and I'm going to repeat myself, I believe that the professional rodeo has no boundaries when it comes to the growth across this world. And I think worldwide, rodeo is a very, very popular sport. We just got to get it out there to the people that want to see it. Member relations, 115 National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association permits last year. New renewed permits for 2016, 17, 48. You can see the breakdown, rough stock 822. Timed event 1123. So total members in 2016, 6,538. That's 6,538 members, not necessarily competing members. That's the total membership. The judging program, easiest job I think there is in the PRCA. Nobody ever criticizes you. Everybody's always on the same page. Really? No. By the way, happy birthday, Clint Corey. Today's Clint Corey's birthday. If you don't know who Clint Corey is, then you haven't been around rodeo very long. Or maybe you just new to rodeo, because he's one of those guys that had a little, his history was, and he's a former world champion and in charge of our judging program. Clint came on a few years back, and we couldn't be happier to have a guy that has had all the experience that he's had going down the road, never complaining about the judge's mark on his rides, but now gets all the criticism, obviously, as the head of the judging program. It's difficult, but he does a tremendous job. And as you can see by the slide, and I won't go through it all, but there's 134 active judges in the program. They have a council. Clint has formed a council of all of his judges, including his reserve judges, that meet once a month to look at the situation, what we can do as a PRCA. Animal welfare is part of the program, and the judging program is going very, very well at the PRCA. But if you have any comments or any criticism, I'm sure that he and I will be sprinting towards the door as soon as this is over. So if you can possibly catch us, you might be able to ask a question. I'm kidding, but he does a great job with that deal in our judging program. It is difficult, there's no doubt about it, because of the fact that everybody has an opinion as to how the judging program should and shouldn't work. But Clint does a tremendous job, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Clint Corey. The Wrangler Champions Challenge, this will be the fourth year of the Wrangler Champions Challenge. Last year in 2016, we had 10 events, 9 events plus the finals. The finals was in Pasadena, Texas. There was in a meeting that we were involved in yesterday, this was a big topic of conversation with the Properties Board. We discussed the Champions Challenge, the successes of it, and some of the downside of the Champions Challenge. This year, it looks like we're probably going to be somewhere around 9 events. As you can see, 2 new events that are added this year will be Grand Island, Nebraska, and Santa Maria, California. We are continuing to try to tweak the Champions Challenge. As you all know, probably it's a made-for-television event, and the initiative originally was to make sure that the same faces were on television week after week after week, or every time that rodeo was on television, the same people were on there. I'm going to stand up here and tell you that I'm not positive that has been a huge success. I will tell you that there have been places that it has been very successful, but I do believe that that is one that needs to be, again, we need to put some energy into trying to figure out from those committees that are involved in the Champions Challenge and the event reps and the contestants themselves, what needs to be done. We're always looking for an opportunity to advance, and this is no exception. So at this point in time, in 17, there'll be 9 events, and that will be posted very soon as to where those events will be located. Industry outreach. This is probably one of the key departments at the PRCA that sometimes doesn't get the praise that it deserves. I think some of you have met Jed Pugsley, who came on about a year and a half ago with the PRCA and is in charge of the livestock welfare and health and welfare program. I think some of you have had him at your rodeo. This is a very, very bright young man that we have great confidence in and is doing a tremendous job to make sure that we are and continue to be in a position that we can operate in the rodeo industry. And he really is the watchdog for us when it comes to outside elements that could, in fact, threaten the health of the PRCA. So, Jed, we appreciate what you do. Julie Jutton is the director of the youth programs, and she travels a lot and puts on the schools and is instrumental with her interaction with the youth associations that obviously build the future for the PRCA. She works very closely with National High School, with Intercollegiate, with Little Britches, so we really do appreciate that, and that's a very important part of the future of professional rodeo. There's the rough stop camps that have been going on for the last few years. We are involved at a level. Julie's involved in giving out permits to these rough stock camps. I know there's one down in Texas that the Cannon family just put on the week after Thanksgiving, and they had 55 kids down there that were bareback riders in their camp. And we gave permits to those that were eligible for a permit and have reserved permits for those that weren't 18 at the camp but will soon to be 18. It is a source. Binion Surveys is doing did 2 schools in November. Same way, Julie has graciously offered permits for at no charge to these young men that are getting on bareback horses. And I don't have to tell any of you in this room that when we look around, we need to produce more cowboys because that's the future of our association. So, Julie, thank you for all that you do. And by the way, Julie said that she would break my arm if I didn't say. Didn't you say that, Julie, or was that what you said? The permit challenge is, as you can see on there, is December the 1st here at the South Point, and it starts at what time, Julie? 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. If you get a chance, it's the top 5 guys, the top 5 permit holders in each event. It's a great time. So I would encourage you, if you have the time, to stop by and see this new talent that's up and coming in the PRCA. That okay, Julie? Okay. The Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund. I don't think I have to tell any athlete in the PRCA how important the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund is. If any of you have gotten your insurance bill over the last month or so, I'm pretty sure that you know that it's very difficult not only to insure yourselves or the staff at your organizations, but the Cowboys have a tough time, and we have a tough time insuring them. And without the good nature of John Justin way back when the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund started, those young men would be in serious trouble when they are injured. And obviously, this is a rough sport to participate in. So the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund does, in fact, take a position under Cindy Schoenholz's leadership to make sure that we are, in fact, trying to help our athletes when they are injured, and that they have an opportunity to, in fact, heal up and then return to it. So it is a great cause. It is the official charity of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. I can tell you that if you've ever been in a position where it's hard to pay your bills, and so certainly some of us have been there, these young men are very, very appreciative of the PRCA and certainly the Justin brand under the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund. But don't forget about that fund, because it only operates because of the good-natured people like yourselves that participate in that, and the fundraisers that they have every year to continue to put that money back into that account so that, in fact, we can support our athletes. Thank you, Cindy. The media department. The media department tells me all the time that they work 24/7. And I'm thinking maybe 25/8 is a better deal, because somebody's always there to participate, to try to update scores, to try to do the things that you all want to see on the websites and on the and in the sports news. I'm not going to go through this whole list, but if you look down there and see exactly what they do, and that staff under the direction of Kendra Santos, that's pretty important to the communication aspect of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association to their members, whether you're a committee man, pardon me, whether you're a committee man, stock contractor, contestant, or contract personnel people. This is the lifeline of communication to not only to us as members, but to everybody else out in the industry. So they do a great job. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. ProCom, if you look at the stats, decreased number of turnouts, doctor releases, and visible injury releases from 15 to 16 was about a 500 less than we did in 15. Increased number of contestants who entered during the re-entry period is up 42. Slight decrease in the number of 30-hour replacements, as you can see, and an increase in the number of walk-up replacements. Now, Chris Horton is in charge of the ProCom back there, and in the back of the building. As you saw in the original, that they took 113,000 entries last year on the telephone, and most of this that you see on this slide, Chris Horton is responsible for in bringing those suggestions to the board of directors for the board of directors to vote into play. So, Chris, thanks a lot. You do a great job back there in ProCom. Information technology. This is Dan Martinez, the VP of IT, and this is probably one of the slides that I don't even understand, so I'm just going to read it, because Dan has to clue me in almost every day about whatever is happening in IT, because I have a hard time spelling IT, but he gets me straightened out most days on that deal. But as you'll see there, I'll hit the highlights for you. One of the big projects that we took on this year was completing several updates of the secretary system, and that is a big job. And technology, as you all know, because we all live in this world, you've got to keep up with what's happening in technology, or you certainly fall behind. One of the other things that was helpful was they completed an upgrade of our phone system, which actually came over on the Mayflower, but we're up to like the 19th century now with our phone system, so you shouldn't have as many dropped calls. But again, if you look at the savings in some of the online payments and rodeo pay, you'll find out that that bottom, the second to the end of that bottom slide, is $15,000 savings just in the credit card when we implemented the programs with rodeo pay under the IT system. So again, Dan Martinez, my hat's off to you, sir. This is a slide that I think this is the second year we put in. It may be the third. There are many, many ways to communicate with the PRCA. One of the biggest issues that I hear when I go in the field is that that the PRCA does not communicate very well, and we hear it over and over again. There are 614 rodeos, if my memory serves me right, last year. It is difficult to communicate with 614 rodeos, but there are avenues that you can accomplish some things, and we would love to hear from you. And this, if you look in the sports news, you can find phone numbers and contact information for most of those people that are on that list. The one important thing that I think that I tried to emphasize last year is that there's a grievance process within the PRCA that is available to every member. If there's something that you don't like, there's something that you think is unfair, not only the contestants, but the contestants know about the grievance process and they use it. But as committees or stock contractors and or contract personnel people, if there are things that you don't think are legitimately fair, then that process is an independent process where Judge Roeder and a group of your peers will hear your complaint. And that is exactly your day in court. So nobody's upset with anyone who wants to follow the grievance process. It is there to be used by anybody who, in fact, believes that it's a necessity for a problem that they have. So please don't be afraid to inquire about the grievance process. Anybody who is a member of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association can, in fact, use the grievance process. If any of you were around last night, you attended a wonderful gala last night honoring Mr. Neil Gay. Kent Sturman is the director of the Hall of Fame. Kent and his staff, which is not very big for all the work that they do, has been a great addition to the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Kent and I go way back, probably 20 plus years. I think we've been friends, and Kent's been on board at the Hall of Fame, and you can see that the great thing about the Hall of Fame is that first of all, if you've never been there, the garden facility at the Hall of Fame, there's an arena there. It's a beautiful facility, and if you've never visited, you need to. The outdoor garden is wonderful. But one of the great things about it is we were sold out last night at the gala. I think we'll redesign the gala for next year and see if we can put some more tables and make it a little bit bigger. But the Cowboy Ball during the induction ceremony in August has been sold out for the last at least 3 years on the Cowboy Ball night too. So people are supporting the hall by attending. We had a fundraiser at Paws Up, and you can see it on there. It's a resort outside of Billings, Montana, and it is a first-class, absolutely first-class resort. And they were kind enough to host us there, and that was the first initial fundraiser that we are going to have again because the experience was wonderful. So be on the lookout for something to the committees that will certainly invite you to spend some time if you want to have a weekend that is really unbelievable and a first-class event. Kent put that together with his staff there at the resort. As you look at the screen, you'll see that obviously we put 11 new members into the hall, which included 2 PRCA committees this year, and there's been some updates to the museum, and but again, this is the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame is the roadmap to how we all got here. So without the Hall of Fame, we don't have any history. We can only remember, and the older we get, the harder it is to remember. So remember that too. We need support as well for the Hall of Fame. That is the history of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Kent, nice job last night. Really enjoyed the gala. Thank you very much. There's so much going on in PRCA properties that we had to have 2 sheets of paper. As you can see on this one, the staff at the Properties Department has changed a little bit since last year. Tanner and Kim and Amy were here with us last year, but we have a couple of new people in the Properties Department. Dana Buffington joined us just about a month or 6 weeks ago, maybe, and she's getting a big dose of the National Finals Rodeo. I know she's been here before in other capacities, but we really appreciate her being on board. And Steve Remplis, that's probably a name that some of you certainly recognize. Steve's been around the industry many years and done lots of good things in the industry, and we had an opportunity this summer, late summer, to offer Steve that Chief Marketing Officer's job, and I'm thrilled to tell you that he accepted it, and the Properties Department is in very good shape and creating some really interesting and cool new stuff. I want to talk a little bit about TV because we've been in the battle with CBS for the last probably 8 weeks. And when I say battle, I really mean a battle, but strong negotiations would probably be a better term for it. But it is, we are within a very short, probably a signature away from renewing the CBS Sports contract for another 3 years. So the PRCA will in fact be on CBS Sports Net for another 3 years, unless something happens that I don't know about today. But the interesting thing about CBS Sports is that in Steve's background, it really is in the television industry, in the marketing industry, but particularly in television. And once Steve dove into this TV deal and got some hardcore numbers on television, I'm going to tell you that the television numbers for professional rodeo, the PRCA, are pretty darn good. When you start looking at the statistics on this deal, 930,000 viewers per performance at the National Finals Rodeo, the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo last year on CBS. Big time numbers. Those are big time numbers. The Champions Challenge, Ram National Circuit Finals, the All-American and Justin Boots playoff averaged 325,000 viewers per episode. So in the past, it's been difficult sometimes for us to negotiate television contracts because we didn't really have statistical information that was very accurate, in that we were on some other than years ago when we were on actually ESPN. It was difficult to get numbers out of some of the networks that we were appearing on, and these numbers are very strong. And CBS has recognized the numbers and has recognized the benefit of having PRCA, particularly the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, on. So we feel good about the future of television. We feel good about the contract that Steve and Aaron and Shannon have negotiated with CBS, and think that we're certainly headed the right direction on that. The second part of that would be the fact that we very strongly feel like that the property that we own at the PRCA has some significant value for the future, for the financial picture at the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association in live streaming. I think you're probably all aware that we have a partnership right now with the Wrangler Network, and we are very proud of that partnership. And the Wrangler Network will have approaching 30 rodeos, and I think that they certainly, Jeff has probably talked to most of you that are involved in that, but 30 rodeos next year that they will live stream, so we'll have access to that. But the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association thinks that we have mounds and mounds of archives that go all the way back to 1959 that we feel like have value to this organization in a streaming situation. So we are diligently, actively trying to determine what it's going to take for us to, in fact, be on television access to the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. That is a big piece for the future, and a big piece for the financial picture of the PRCA. Those assets are huge, and if any of you are in the technology world with video streaming, you know, our children don't even know what a television is. Everything they do is on their tablets or their computers or their telephones, and we are moving quickly in that direction. And that will have, Remplis's group will have, in fact, more information on that as we get farther into the negotiations. But I believe that there is significant opportunity there and significant revenue produced by this that we can share with the members of this association. It is a very valuable piece for the future of professional rodeo and has the opportunity to create a revenue stream, big dollar revenue stream. Not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, but if you go back to the last slide and look at the fact that in the last performance of the Wrangler National Finals last year, there was 960 some thousand viewers on the 10th performance. So if you're looking at a pay window, but behind a paywall of some kind for the Wrangler National Finals, and you just do the math, just do real simple math, you can get to numbers that are staggering in comparison pretty quickly. So that is what we are involved in, and that is Remplis and the group there at Properties. So we're on it. We're moving in the right direction, that's for sure. Thank you, Steve. We have had lots of conversation about this next slide. I can tell you from my old VF days that the bullfights back in the day when they were the Wrangler bullfights were very, very popular in the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. There is, I've been fortunate enough to work with a group that is representing the bullfighters, headed by Dustin Brewer, who, if you don't know Dustin, he is the barrelman and a bullfight representative of the Executive Council of Contract Personnel. He and Gary Jones and Gary Williams and Blue Jeans and Rob Smets and now you can Rob Smets and Miles Hare. Now we are going back to the Wrangler days with those two. But I've been very fortunate to work with these guys to put the bullfights back in play. We haven't crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. We did meet yesterday to finalize some issues. So if you have interest in bullfights at your rodeos, you committee people, we are going to proceed. The PRCA is going to proceed with the bullfights, and they will be PRCA bullfights. We will crown a world champion in 2017, and so we are obviously aggressively looking for host bullfights. And again, I can't give you any more information than that because that's all I know about it. But the facts are, if you have a question about bullfights, these guys are going to be around this week. Try to flag one of them down if you have. If you don't, I can give you a website, but better than that, we're going to put the website, their email address on our website, on the PRCA website, and it'll just be on there. So if you have questions and you want to communicate with them, that will be on there this afternoon. We'll post that on there under bullfights on the web page, our web page, the PRCA website. So we're excited about it. If any of you were involved in the bullfights years past, they were very, very exciting, and they're certainly a crowd pleaser. And like I said, I've been involved in them ever since I was at Wrangler. So, you know, a few years ago, the PRCA and the WPRA probably weren't the best of friends, maybe. But that's a long time in the history of the PRCA and the WPRA. And I can stand up here and gladly tell you that this is my 9th NFR, and it's never been better than it is today. The relationship between the PRCA and the WPRA is exceptional. And it started with Kathy Myers and went to Jimmy Monroe and you know, and on and on. And the presidents that were there have been great to work with the PRCA. So a couple of 3 or 4 months ago, we met with Doreen Wintermute, who is the new president, and we talked about lots of things and how we could work more closely together. And I'm glad to tell you that that the WPRA will have dedicated space at the PRORODEO Hall of Fame, and they will be part of the inductions in August, and they are working very closely with us, and we're very glad to have them and have a partnership. But they will have their own section of the Hall of Fame, and they will induct their own inductees into the Hall of Fame. So Doreen, thank you, and Kent Sturman, they're working very hard to make that happen. So that's worth a round of applause, I think. Our CFO, Mr. Joe Schaefer, is sitting right down here in the front row, and he's the guy that tells Inget and I that we can't spend any more money, that we have to, that we got to stay on budget, and that we no, you can't have any more money to do this or that with it. That's not really true. He never says that to us, but he knows where every penny is hidden, and every penny is being spent. He does a tremendous job at the PRCA for us. He's the lifeline when it comes to the financials. I couldn't have any more trust in anybody in this organization than I do in Joe Schaefer, and he consistently makes it all happen for us. And the PRCA over the last 8 years has done very, very, very well under Joe's leadership as the CFO. I don't think it's any secret that the PRCA was involved in a lawsuit this year. And we spent $1.4 million of your money to defend ourselves in a lawsuit. And I can tell you that in years past, that might not have been possible to have spent $1.4 million to defend ourselves. But I can tell you that we spent $1.4 million with the blessing of our board of directors, who were 100% behind the initiative. And I can tell you that you are in very, very good shape financially at the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association because of guys like Joe Schaefer that are watching the checkbook. So the annual report obviously comes out every year, has been ever since I've been here. And you can take a look at that, and it will be ready in March, I believe, or am I right? March, or I think March. It is online. It will be online, and you can also have a hard copy of it, but you have to request a hard copy as a member, so don't be afraid to do that. The 2017 budget has been approved by the board of directors. The properties board yesterday approved the properties budget. We are on task to have another very, very good year this year, and certainly a very good year next year. You are on very, very solid ground financially at the PRCA. All right, here's the fun slide, okay? So this just tells you a little bit about, I'm not going to go back through the TV numbers. I already told you what the TV numbers were. And again, this presentation will be on the website, so you can go back and revisit this too. But this is kind of the you know, the statistical information. And obviously, you can see that half of our fans are male and half are female, within 1-2 percentage points. Interesting, the age breakdown of our fans, 18 to 34 at 26%, and over 50 at 49%. I don't think that surprises anybody. 92% of people have a cell phone. I don't know where the other 8% is, because I'm sure they've all called me. They don't even have a cell phone. But the really important part of this slide is, and I got to tell you a story on Red Bluff. Where are you guys? Oh, you're not here. Perfect. I know why. So 3 years ago, I get done with this whole deal, and I walk down there, and here comes the whole Red Bluff committee. And they're pretty serious when they're walking up towards me, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, I wonder what I said to offend them or what happened here. And they said, look, Karl, we listened to everything that you said, and we have figured out how we, Red Bluff, can help the PRCA. And I said, great, guys, what are we going to do? And they said, well, that statistic on 64% drinking Coors and 36 on Pendleton whiskey, we think we can make those percentages, we can make them up by next year. We can raise those percentages by next year. Just the committee actually increased the numbers by 8%. So that's for you, Mike Dudley. Speaking of Red Bluff, we lost a dear friend in Harvey Camacho last week from the Red Bluff Committee. And not only was he a real integral part of the Red Bluff Committee, but he was a big supporter of professional rodeo, the PRCA. The Red Bluff Committee would like to invite you all, and because of the timing is why I'm making sure that you all know this, to celebrate Harvey's life at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in the Grandview Bar here at the South Point. So you are all invited to celebrate Harvey Camacho's life. You may have seen a few these American flag feathers in people's hats this week. Allie and I had the fortune to be down in Texas in June at a charity event that was put on by the Cannon family down there and in Rosenberg, Texas. Bubba Blassingame and his crew down there. And it was the proceeds from this standalone event. It was a bareback riding and bull riding that was sanctioned by the PRCA, the first time in the history that we've done that. The board of directors has helped in that matter. The proceeds went to the widows of the Navy SEALs. Some of you have probably seen the movie Lone Survivor, which was a story about the Navy SEALs behind the lines in Afghanistan. We had the fortune to be able to meet these ladies that lost their husbands in Afghanistan. And part of the silent auction was a couple of hand-painted feathers with the American flag, and it just really got me that and I said to Allie, don't let those get away. I don't care what they cost. I want to go home with those feathers. So so we did. We went home with those feathers. And what you all don't probably know about me, you probably don't care either, but you don't know about me is my first 2 years at Arizona, I was an art major. And my goal was to actually be a commercial artist, and the only thing that kept me from being a commercial artist was just lack of talent. So I went to business school, and now here I am. Okay. So I took those feathers home to Colorado, and I said, you know what, Al, there's something here I got to figure it out. So I sat down and, well, I actually went to Hobby Lobby. Well, that's not true. Allie went to Hobby Lobby and got all the paints and paintbrushes and all that stuff and feathers and brought them home. And I actually took the time to sit down in the evenings, which was kind of therapeutic. And I painted a dozen feathers with the American flag on them. And I gave them, we had a big family gathering on the 4th of July, and I gave feathers to all of our kids and all of our nephews and nieces and whoever, well, the 12. We gave 12 feathers away. 11, actually. I kept one for myself. But they all put them in their hats. And it was just a really cool expression of who I think rodeo is. So I wore the feathers for a couple of months. You know, every one of my hats. I painted some more, and I put a feather in every hat. And I couldn't go anywhere in an airport or a restaurant that somebody didn't ask me about that feather. They said, "Wow, that's neat." And then they would look. You get a little, get a little closer and look and see that it was a feather and that it was painted with an American flag. So I kept kicking it around in my mind as to where was the value of this? I did it for myself. That was what I thought was the right thing to do for me. And so the value, where's the value? And what do I tell people when they say, what does that stand for? Well, I don't think you have to tell anybody in a rodeo industry what the American flag stands for. But they wanted to know if there was some significance to why I had that feather in my hat. So I was with my very good friend Ricky Boland, who is the president of Resistol Hat Company, at an event in September, and I had a feather in my hat, and he said, "Hey, Karl, what about that feather deal?" And I said, I was thinking about that deal, Rick, and I got an idea, and I want to run it by you. I firmly believe that these are the true colors of pro rodeo. And I have spent the last couple of months trying to make sure that pro rodeo, that the world's as proud of pro rodeo as we are. And I think this is a significant way to do it. So I got Ricky to buy into a promotion, and this is it right here. And Resistol is going to manufacture these feathers because I'm not hand painting 10,000 of them. I can tell you that right now. And that's a promotion that we're going to launch to the committees, that Resistol will provide to the committees these feathers painted, and that you all can take this just like you have so graciously taken Tough Enough to Wear Pink. There's a couple of thousand of them going to be here this week, and very frankly, I'm not sure they'll last more than a few hours in the position that we're in today. We tried to get 10,000 of them manufactured and put in people's hands on Tuesday night at the finals. It doesn't look like that's going to happen because I didn't give Rick enough time, and his staff wants to hang me because that's all they've done for the last 6 weeks is try to find feathers. So I get a wide berth when it comes to anybody that has a Resistol that looks like they work for Resistol because I think they're after me. I just think this is significant. I painted 15 of them for the steer ropers in Mulvane, Kansas. And I'm going to tell you, those guys took those feathers and put them in their hats and wore them, and they're still wearing them today. And this isn't possible here. Oops, excuse me. This isn't possible here, but the steer ropers at Mulvane, Kansas, asked John Gwatney, who was producing the steer roping finals, if they could walk into the arena when they were introduced rather than ride horseback, because they didn't want anybody to think that they were sitting down during the national anthem. We will have more information about this particular promotion for you, the committees, and for you, the cowboys. And if you look at this needs to stay in a local charity, but this needs to be shared with the cowboys because they're going to be the ones that help support this deal and get the word out. These are the true colors of professional rodeo. I believe that. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Please, if you have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We don't know what they are unless you tell us. I am a proud American. I'm proud to represent you at the PRCA. Thank you very much.